Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moton.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Monday. Number 1, the deadliest plane crash in Texas in nearly 3 decades.
10 people were killed when the twin-engine plane crashed into a hangar at a small airport. Witnesses say it appears the plane had trouble gaining altitude after takeoff. No one on the ground was hurt. Investigators say the hangar was empty at the time of the crash.
The NTSB and FAA are now working to determine the cause of the crash, and they're looking into the pilot's background.
Number 2, the historic handshake on the Korean Peninsula.
President Trump is back in Washington after becoming the first sitting U.S. president to visit North Korea. The meeting with Kim Jong-un has set up a new round of nuclear talks.
And after the meeting with China's president this weekend, President Trump says they're closer to a trade deal.
On to number 3 now, some dramatic video from Florida where a sheriff's deputy was dragged by an SUV after a routine traffic stop.
Deputy Aaron Blaze pulled over a driver for tinted windows, but police say the man drove off after the deputy said he smelled marijuana, leaving him clinging to the side of the vehicle.
The deputy was dragged for more than 100 feet before shooting the suspect in the leg and falling into the median.
Now, I'm telling you right now, stop! 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 Put it in Put it in park! Put your hands up!
This is a bad dude who almost killed one of our deputy sheriffs on the side of the road.
The suspect was caught after an 8-hour manhunt and now faces an attempted murder charge. The deputy was treated and released from the hospital.
We head to the NBA for number 4. Kevin Durant is taking his talents to Brooklyn.
Durant, who is coveted by Knicks fans, has signed a 4-year contract with the rival Nets.
Brooklyn also agreed to 4-year deals with former Celtics guard Kyrie Irving and former Knicks center DeAndre Jordan.
And finally, number 5. You have to see this, a terrifying moment in southern India.
2 men on a motorcycle were chased by a tiger. It followed for a few seconds before running back into the forest. The chase happened in a wildlife park.
Look at that. Reports say the men were forest officials checking on a tiger sighting. I'd say it was confirmed.
Definitely.
We've got a lot more to talk about.
It's July 1st, and it's Morning America.
Coming your way like that tiger.
Good morning, everyone. Great to start off the week with you. You weren't here on Friday. Where were you?
I wasn't. I was hanging out at the big kids table.
Oh, you were? down in Times Square at GMA?
Yes, yeah. I had a little stint down there.
Well, good. And you're there
You
all...
miss me?
So, we had that...
Oh.
And then that tiger story. Can you believe that?
Yeah, rare. You're awful. You missed me. He did.
No, I definitely missed you. And it's great to have you back this week.
Glad to be
And you got a
here.
busy week still at GMA this week.
Yeah, I'll be there all week doing double duty.
But we have had a busy weekend to report on this morning. So we're going to get to that big story. President Trump is back from his historic visit with Kim Jong-un, where he became the first sitting American president to set foot in North Korea. The president shook hands with Kim, meeting for nearly an hour, and he raised the possibility of Kim visiting the White House. But the question now is, what's next? ABC's Andrea Fujii is here with the latest. Good morning, Andrea.
Hi, Kenneth. The two leaders spent an hour behind closed doors as President Trump tries to restart nuclear talks with North Korea. President Trump back in Washington, tweeting this video of his meeting with North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. History made as he became the first sitting U.S. president to step into the country.
My friend.
President Trump made the surprise visit to the demilitarized zone following the G20 summit, where he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Speaking with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, the president seemed optimistic that the U.S. and China are closer to a trade deal.
We had a very good meeting. He wants to make a deal. I want to make a deal. Very big deal, probably, I guess you'd say, the largest deal ever made of any kind, not only trade. We got along very well. We understand each other.
But it was President Trump's meeting with Kim Jong-un that's received the most media attention, which at times became chaotic as the two men walked back into the South Korean side of the border.
Come on! Move!
And in a rare move, the reclusive North Korean leader spoke directly to American reporters.
이 행동 자체만 보시지 말고
I believe just looking at this action, this is an expression of his willingness to eliminate all the unfortunate past and open a new future.
The last round of nuclear talks with North Korea failed, but now its state media is hailing this meeting as successful. And despite all of the symbolism with this meeting, there is still no concrete progress for North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons. But President Trump says they will resume talks to try to get to a nuclear deal. And Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says those talks could start this month. Kenneth?
Andrea, thank you so much.
And welcome.
And welcome, making your It's Morning America debut. Andrea, it's so great to have you here in the studio and covering a big story. Now, we want to warn you when you do this show, we take nothing seriously. Really.
Well, I planned it well because I wore yellow, so I matched.
Match
you
definitely match with our theme here
sunshine.
at It's Morning America. It's great to have you, and thank you again for reporting on the president's historic visit. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, certainly an historic moment there in the DMZ, and incredible that it came together in just hours. ABC's Brad Milkey has the behind-the-scenes story of how it all went down. Brad?
Hey guys, yeah, this was an historic moment. No sitting president has ever done this before. And so we know this picture is going to end up in the history books. What we don't know yet is what will the caption be? When President Trump walked from the demilitarized zone into North Korea to greet Kim Jong-un, some said he was paving the way for a lasting peace. Critics blasted it as shaking hands with a brutal dictator. Now, in some ways, this might have been even bigger than their previous two summits. And ABC News chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl says an event like this would normally be highly choreographed, but this all came together within hours.
Brad, to me, maybe the craziest moment was watching the incoming White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, literally elbow and shove aside a North Korean security guard.
Well, this is not like an American flak or something. This is like a North Korean dictatorship security guy.
Yeah, this is one of those guys that you see running alongside the car when Kim arrives somewhere. These are pretty scary looking guys. And she, I mean, you got to look at the tape. I mean, she really gives the guy a shove aside. But that, I mean, the reason why you had all this chaos is because the thing really did come together at the very last minute.
Okay. And remember, guys, the Trump administration says there is more goodwill between these countries than there's ever been before. But experts agree Kim's nuclear arsenal remains fully intact. We'll have a lot more on this visit on Start Here later this morning. Listen on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app. Janae, Kenneth?
Moving on, Facebook says it is working on a plan to stop misinformation about next year's census.
The company's policy will prohibit Facebook users from misrepresenting census requirements, methods, or logistics. Facebook will also use algorithms to find and delete census-related misinformation. The formal policy will be released this fall. A convicted murderer in Texas is the subject of an urgent manhunt. 25-year-old Rene Carrillo was convicted last Thursday of killing a man outside a Dallas strip club in 2017. But he was free on bond during his trial, and prosecutors say Carrillo cut off his ankle monitor to flee before being convicted.
Anybody that is associated with him, we're going to be contacting them, and hopefully they can talk him in to coming back and facing what he has been sentenced with. And if he doesn't come back, we will still be looking for him.
Carrillo has already been sentenced to 99 years in prison. He's now facing additional charges for jumping bail.
Funeral services will be held today for the migrant father and daughter who drowned in the Rio Grande while trying to make it to the U.S. The bodies of 25-year-old Oscar Alberto Martinez and 23-month-old Valeria will return to their hometown in El Salvador. The family was hoping for a better life in the U.S.
The latest suspect arrested in the shooting of Red Sox legend David Ortiz says he would never do something like this. Victor Hugo Gomez is the 14th person charged in the case and one of the 3 alleged masterminds. Authorities say Gomez offered $30,000 for someone to shoot his cousin who was sitting next to Ortiz in a Santo Domingo club. Gomez released a YouTube video denying he was part of a plot to shoot anyone.
Some people in the South are being warned this could be the summer of super nests.
Giant nests of yellow jackets are starting to pop up in Alabama. They hold at least 4,000 of the insects. One scientist says yellow jackets cause almost all stinging deaths in the U.S. And unlike honeybees, the jackets can sting repeatedly and generally attack in groups. A normal summer only has 2 super nests. 12 have been confirmed. 90 popped up back in 2006. Yikes.
That looks no bueno.
If there are yellow jackets, I'm running and you're on your own.
All I have to do is run
saying.
faster than you.
Touche, my friend.
Coming up, America's favorite pastime goes across the pond.
Julia McFarland was on the scene in London where the Yankees took on the Red Sox. More after this. Welcome back. Now to the 2-year-old boy who died after being exposed to E. coli at a county fair.
His family calls him a little angel. He was one of 4 visitors who contracted the bacteria. The source of the E. coli is under investigation, but all the children had contact with animals. This morning, an urgent investigation into a county fair after an E. coli outbreak killed a young boy. 2-year-old Jedediah King Cabasuela visited the San Diego County Fairgrounds June 15th. 4 days later, he had stomach problems. Then doctors say a rare complication from the infection killed him less than a week later.
He was bundled up in a little ball. Can't even move, and he was hurting so much he almost couldn't cry.
Fair officials closed all animal exhibits Saturday as a precaution. This morning, they're searching for the source of the E. coli and say it likely came from either the petting zoo, the livestock exhibits, or the pony rides.
Our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts go out to the family, and while we emphasize safety at the fair, we will continue to do so.
Jedediah's family says he washed his hands after interacting with the animals. 3 other children who visited the fair were also sickened by the bacteria. Officials say in at least 2 of those cases, the child did not wash his or her hands after being around animals.
Washing hands is very, very important. So when you're touching animals and livestock, always wash your hands very good, a good 20 seconds.
As for Jedediah, known as Jeddy to his family, he's being remembered as a happy boy who was always laughing.
He's upstairs now, a little angel, and I said a little prayer, and I told the Lord, I said, you got your hands full.
A fundraising website for the boy's family has already surpassed the $20,000 mark. Doctors say when visiting these zoos, hand sanitizer is important, but washing hands, they say actually with soap and water for at least 20 seconds is even better.
Gotta sing happy birthday. That is a good reminder. And that brings us to the question of the day. Will you think twice before going to a petting zoo, letting your kids pet animals at a petting zoo? Let us know what you think. Tell us in the comments or tweet us at ABC News Live.
We'll have some breaking news to get to from overnight. A powerful explosion ripped through the Afghan capital of Kabul this morning, injuring at least 50 people. So let's go across the pond now to Julia McFarland in the London Bureau, who's been keeping an eye on this one. Good morning, Julia.
Morning, Kenneth. Morning, Janae. Yes, that's right. At least 53 people have been wounded and are being treated in the hospital in central Kabul this morning after a rush hour explosion detonated near the diplomatic compound known as the Green Zone. That's where a bunch of government buildings, foreign embassies, including the U.S. Embassy and the Afghan intelligence agency, one of their buildings is there. So far, there's been no claim of responsibility. Afghan officials still trying to determine who might be behind this, but this comes 2 days after the U.S. and the Taliban resumed talks on negotiations. The U.S. really hoping for some kind of resolvement with the Taliban before the next Afghan elections in September. So it's a key moment in the country right now.
All right, Julia. And now turning to Hong Kong, where we've already been seeing those massive protests for a few weeks now. They've been picking up again as the city celebrates the anniversary of its handover to China. Now the city's leader is speaking out. Tell us what she's saying.
Yes, that's right. I just have to point out that this comes a couple of days after there were large protests over the weekend in favor of Beijing and of the police. Tens of thousands of people rallying support of the Hong Kong authorities. But this morning, July the 1st, is, of course, the anniversary of the Hong Kong handover to China. 22 years since that historic day. Protesters are demanding that Carrie Lam resigns. There have been thousands of them gathering in the streets today, a lot of them gathering outside the Legislative Assembly, some of them even trying to break in, and they are demanding the resignation of Carrie Lam, the Hong Kong chief executive, who is backed by Beijing. She has already said that she would suspend that controversial extradition bill, which caused millions to hit the streets in the last few months, but the protesters, they want more, they want her to go.
And Julia, let's switch some gears here. We're going to change these gears right on up, change them up. Hey, actually, I have heard what you call us here over in the U.S. You call us Yankees. That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah.
And you got a... You're like, wait, she's like, How did he hear what I called them? And I heard that you
what's he gonna say?
You got up close and personal, got a little taste of America's favorite pastime across the pond this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. It was Major League Baseball's first foray into the European market. The Yankees going head-to-head against the Boston Red Sox for the first time on British soil. And I have to say, the atmosphere in the stadium, in London's Olympic Stadium, it was electric. There was a huge amount of enthusiasm, and there were just walking out of the grounds and seeing endless floods of Brits streaming into the stadium, a lot of them wearing jerseys of the Boston Red Sox or the Yankees, all really excited. Felt just like a football match. Of course, football, I know you guys call it soccer, but football is the correct term for that sport. The nation's game here. But, it was great because a lot of these Brits, they didn't have a clue what was going on, but they still enjoyed those two games. The Yankees continuing to dominate, beating the Red Sox in both matches.
So we saw
and you even got kind of cozy with the Red Sox mascot.
I did.
Let us look at this.
Look at you.
He was very
precious.
sweet, Wally. Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun.
Good.
But kind of cheating on the Mets with that picture there. So
I saw you on GMA over the weekend, and I saw Dan Harris give you a little bit of a quiz about, I think it was shortstop. So did you figure out what a shortstop is?
Yeah. That is the thing where? They hit the ball and they do the thing.
What's the thing?
Of course I know.
Okay, what about bunting?
Of course I know what that means.
How about bunting? Do you know what bunting is?
Bunting is where on the River Cam you go on those little boats and someone like
Hilarious.
Oh no, that's punting. Punting or bunting? That's what that means, my friends.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. That's why it's America's
Well, if you tried
pastime.
to give me, if you tried to quiz me on those soccer
cricket or something,
those soccer terms, I would
I
not.
don't know what soccer is.
You said like
what is
midfielder.
soccer?
Yeah,
Soccer's not a thing.
Soccer is.
Do you mean football?
Either way, I wouldn't know the terms.
Either way, he's stumped. Julia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
All right, so let's check our notifications, starting with something that wasn't abnormal really on the New York City subway.
Just another day here in New York City. Some people get on the subway. They've got a ping pong table, and they're going at it. Look at this volley. Impressive.
On the 6 train.
As it's moving. Almost as impressive.
You said moving.
Moving.
This is very moving. Some cows listening to the music, and I think this happened in Oregon.
The guy's just learning to play the sax.
And he decided to...
Verdict's out on what song this is.
Actually, you know what? So I thought it was... well, actually, it's not what I thought of. Yes. My producers told me, "Isn't she lovely?" And then someone on Twitter quickly...
2 people responded.
On Twitter saying it's Careless Whisper.
Someone else thought it was a different George Michael song, though.
So now that I listen to it, they are right. And so I am now asking those people on Twitter, would you like to come work here? Because you're better than our producer on this one. How about that?
Is the sun up yet? All that shade. All that shade. And how about this? A little kitten that's trying to scare its owner. Watch this. Okay, she's coming. Hide. Okay, ready?
And that's no scaredy cat right there.
No.
And how about this? A bus driver is being called a hero for saving a turtle trying to cross the road. Ooh. As you see here,
look.
Going down the road, and you're about to see the
Eagle-eye driver.
Wait for it. There it is.
How do you know it was a turtle? Turtle. Saved it, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too hot to play outside, here's the next best thing. This dog is playing in the water. Staying completely dry. But he's playing. Oh, that's cute.
Very.
Yeah.
All right, and on to the next one. To cap off Pride Month, the valedictorian comes out in his speech, and the whole class supports him.
You'll hear them roar.
Because I wasn't proud of who I am. But today I'm changing that.
He said he wasn't proud of who he was.
And
now
there it
he's
is.
changing that. Starting a new chapter.
Good for him.
Yes.
And coming up, more on the big Pride celebrations around the world.
Millions of Pride revelers converge on New York City. Plus, see who came out on live TV when we come back.
Here's what to watch out for today. Closing arguments are expected in the trial of a decorated Navy SEAL charged with murder and attempted murder of a captive ISIS fighter. Special Ops Chief Edward Gallagher has pleaded not guilty to the charges.
The U.S. women's national soccer team is at work practicing for tomorrow's semifinal showdown against England. Megan Rapinoe has scored the last 4 goals for Team USA. If they win tomorrow's match, they would either play Holland or Sweden in Sunday's championship game. Team USA and England kick off tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Woo! And Wimbledon begins today in London. Experts are predicting Roger
Federer.
and Rafael Nadal could meet in the semifinal. Serena Williams' first match is tomorrow.
That's pretty cool. Plus, don't forget to tune into the Debrief for an update on all our top stories and the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. Well, anthems of pride, acceptance, and embracing both yourself and others as you are were the driving force this weekend here in New York City.
World Pride 2019, hosted by New York, has closed with a bang, and our Will Gans is here with the highlight.
With a bang. I'm still trying to get the glitter and the confetti out of my hair, I think, you know? Celebrations all over the world this weekend. San Francisco, Mexico City, Chicago, and of course, right here in NYC, wrapped up a month-long celebration of history, of unity, of love, and yeah, you guessed it, of pride.
For the first time ever, World Pride celebrated on American soil. An estimated 4 million visitors hitting New York City to mark the occasion, alongside major names like Madonna and Lady Gaga, surprising fans with a speech celebrating how far the queer community has come.
And you have never been so visible in the world.
The pop star giving that speech outside the Stonewall Inn, the bar where members of the queer community fought back against a police raid exactly 50 years ago, the beginning of the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. And all these decades later, the NYPD out in full force, keeping the millions of people safe at New York City's Pride March, the biggest in its history.
Happy Pride!
ABC News capturing this moment during the march, Army Specialist Breon Houston, just back from a tour in Iraq, coming out on live TV.
I'm still not out in the military at this point.
Is this your coming out?
I guess it is, yeah.
That announcement met with cheers. And while that support seems encouraging, the percentage of Americans who support same-sex marriage on the rise since it was made legal only 4 years ago, so are the instances of hate crimes against the LGBT+ community. So while the confetti falls and the music blasts, many are taking time to remember the challenges and difficulties the LGBTQ+ community continues to face.
It's come a long way and we've got a long way to go too, but I mean, I'm so happy to be here and so proud of what's happened.
So while Pride Month may be officially over on the calendar, I want to quote my friend Connor, who said, "Pride isn't just June. Pride is every day in the spirit of every queer person fighting for their right to exist."
Well said.
Absolutely.
I was in those streets yesterday. I will say colorful streets.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful. They were packed and flowing with love and pride. And I was looking at the pride flag, and I thought it really represents very well that diversity that was out there in the New York City streets yesterday as well.
Absolutely, so much diversity and so much love. I mean, really walking through the street and just seeing strangers, just like it was amazing. And the glitter and the confetti that literally was blowing up in the wind, it was a magical
A citywide party.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on the first day of July.
Have a good one.
Did you say rabbit, rabbit?
Rabbit, that's for good luck.
Good luck the rest of the month.
Rabbit, 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 rabbit.
See you tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.